and welcome to the SingularityNET Insider Monthly Update, a series of videos where we're gonna showcase the great talents that are working behind the scene here at SingularityNET, as well as giving some great updates to our community about what we've been working on, what we achieved, and some of the cool projects that the SingularityNET Foundation is running and has been running for the past few years. So today we're going to have on the show Dr. Kabir Veitas, who's the co-founder of Nunet, who's going to tell us everything about AI DSL, which is the infrastructure that allows all the artificial intelligence algorithm of the SingularityNET platform to communicate to each other. Then we're going to have Dagim Sisay, one of our great programmer out of Ethiopia. We're going to have Dr. Matt Ikle, who's gonna tell us about his project in carbon sequestration, and of course, our CEO, Dr. Goertzel. So without further ado, I'm gonna let the great speaker speak. My name is Marcello, and I'm the Director of Communication at SingularityNET, as well as the CEO of SingularityDAO. And now over to you, Ben.
Ben Goertzel here. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's been happening with SingularityNET for the last month, and what we have to look forward to during the next few months, which is really, really exciting. So February 2021, this has been a legendary month for SingularityNET in a whole bunch of ways. The vote that we had in early February approving the Phase 2 initiative, I think this is sort of the biggest threshold event in the history of SingularityNET since the original token generation event in late 2017. Between the collaboration with Cardano, the agreement to release 1 billion new AGI tokens on Cardano platform, month by month, starting pretty soon, and the reorganization of governance to move further toward progressive decentralization. We're really setting things up to enable tremendous growth in the next months and the next few years. Growth in the intelligence of the AI in the network, growth in the utilization of the network, and growth in the economic value of the network, and the economic return and the humanitarian return to be received by everybody participating in the network. So I think incredibly excited about the support we had from the community in voting for the Phase 2 initiative by such a large margin, and most of all about what this is going to enable going forward. So, you're going to hear a lot more about that in the next few weeks and months. I've been working a lot with the Cardano team on technical aspects in terms of working toward getting the AGI token actually running on the Cardano network, getting the marketplace there, and then some deeper aspects like the AI DSL, AI domain specific language that, once we have the marketplace and the protocol fully ported to Cardano, this will allow the AI agents running on the Cardano platform to communicate with each other in a richer and deeper way, so the agents can understand what each other are doing and why, what properties they have, so that AI agents on the platform can coordinate and cooperate together in a richer and more emergently intelligent way than is possible now on the Ethereum platform. I've also been working a lot with the Cardano Catalyst team and a bunch of our internal SingularityNET team members and the SingularityNET Supervisory Council on the deep funding pool, the decentralized ecosystem projects pool, which is another key part of Phase 2. And I think we're gearing up to make this one of the most exciting tech project funding, incubator, accelerator, plus programs on the face of the planet. We're looking at using this to put funds into community projects, enhancing the SingularityNET infrastructure, to projects building dApps and various applications on top of SingularityNET, so as to get more and more utilization of the platform, more and more API calls, and then researchers developing amazing new AI tools, core AI agents to run on SingularityNET that can then be accessed by products serving customers running on the platform. So yeah, between infrastructure, dApps utilizing the platform, and core AI tools, I mean, all of these things fertilized by the deep funding, I think, this can go a long way toward bringing the SingularityNet network the massive token utilization that it needs to really grow both commercially and grow toward emergent general intelligence. And I can't go into detail here on all the things we're working on to make phase 2 a reality, but there's a lot. It all connects together, and it's just an incredibly exciting time. So I'll answer a few questions from the community now to sort of flesh out a few of the details in the way that's directed by what people in the community are interested in. Let's see. Question, where can I see a roadmap for AGI on Cardano? Well, the phase 2 white paper, the phase 2 proposal at the end, gave a roadmap for the next several years, but the items on there for 2021 are the outline of a roadmap for SingularityNet project in the near future. But we are working on a more in-depth roadmap, sort of in that direction. There's going to be no big surprises there, but there'll be a bit more detail about sequencing and timing. So yeah, you can expect that pretty soon. But if you want the high level, it is there at the end of the phase 2 white paper. A question: how will SingularityNet scale? Let's say 1 million people are sending requests to one AI agent. How it will be able to deliver to all of them? Well, scaling is a buzzword that boils down to a lot of different things when you look under the hood. So I think the Cardano integration will be a significant part of it. Cardano just fundamentally has a more scalable architecture than Ethereum, lower cost and higher speed. I mean, we already have algorithms allowing SingularityNet to scale in terms of peer-to-peer search for AI agents meeting certain properties and so forth. It's just the practical atomic operations in these algorithms on Ethereum are very slow, and that will be solved with a move to Cardano. Now, there's a lot of other aspects to scaling that happen sort of once a customer has reached a certain AI agent. I mean, that AI agent may need to make multiple copies of itself to serve multiple customers, may need to make multiple copies of the data that it's accessing if a lot of its customers are hitting up all that data at the same time. And I mean, this is part of what we're referring to as infrastructure as a service, which is also written about in the phase 2 white paper. I mean, this frankly is multiple years of work to get scalability in SingularityNet as a decentralized infrastructure up to the level of what you have in like AWS or Azure or something. I mean, we'll be getting there bit by bit, but I mean, these are trillion-dollar companies that have put a tremendous amount of work into scaling, and we're doing it step by step. And then another interesting aspect here is the Nunet project, which is a spinoff of SingularityNet, which we expect to pick up more and more momentum as 2021 continues, including very likely launching its own token, perhaps as a Cardano native asset. But Nunet allows processing power on mobile devices, Internet of Things devices, just CPUs in laptops and desktops. It allows all these compute resources to be pulled in to the benefit of AI agents running on decentralized networks, initially SingularityNet, also other networks that may connect to SingularityNet. So, I mean, I think that Nunet, in a way, lets us go even beyond the infrastructure as a service that big tech companies offer. And, Cardano can be, in a way, the glue that lets us pull these infrastructure as a service tools, both traditional ones and Nunet, pull them together to provide additional types of scalability on the back end of SingularityNet AI agents. So yeah, we'll see a big boost in scalability with the port to Cardano, but scalability has a lot of dimensions, and it's going to be increasing step by step. Question: Neuralink and SingularityNet, is this a match made in heaven? Well, I mean, AI and brain computer interfacing are a match made in heaven, right? I mean, if we can plug the AI into our brain, I mean, then as humans, our own thought process is going to be enhanced by what the AI can do. I would love to be able to access, you know, search engines, calculators, and AI systems of all sorts at the speed of thought, right? But additionally, the AI is going to be able to learn from human thinking and the human mind, and really putting brain computer interfacing and AI together is pretty much, that's going to be the best way for AIs to really learn what it is to be human on a profound level. I mean, we can go a long way with robots like Sophia, which we're pursuing, heavily through the Sophia collective, Sophia DAO collaboration with Hanson Robotics, and through the Grace humanoid robot for elder care that we're developing in another joint venture with Hanson Robotics, called Awakening Health. So these humanoid robots can look you in the face, and they can empathize with you, and that's one way to get human values, culture, and understanding into the robot. But of course, brain computer interfacing, I mean, this adds a whole other dimension. I mean, Neuralink is a very cool company. I mean, it is one among many brain computer interfacing initiatives on the planet now, and partnering with them or any other of the many serious brain computer interfacing initiatives out there certainly makes a heck of a lot of sense. I would say I have a bias towards sort of open source hardware and open source software. I mean, especially where you're plugging stuff into your brain. You'd really like to be able to audit the code and be certain that, like, you're not going to get adware in your neocortex or something. So I would have a bias toward partnering with brain computer interfacing projects that are as open and transparent and decentralized as possible. And this should be a really interesting area to explore going forward. Question: don't we really need a consciousness facilitative AI? If we raise human consciousness, I'm sure this would have a profound impact in raising the levels of a consciously aware artificial general intelligence and would result in a benevolent AI singularity. Well, I mean, obviously, I selected that question because, yes, indeed, I do think we need a human consciousness facilitating AGI. I mean, I think the idea that we're just going to create a superhuman AGI mind, in a box somewhere, in an isolated computer network somewhere, that's going to be not only super intelligent but so benevolent and so understanding that will solve all humanity's problems. I mean, it's not totally impossible, but it's probably not the way things are going to go. I mean, there's a big risk that that isolated AI system is not going to understand what humans really want or need, and it's going to go in some other radically different direction. And I mean, I think by far the best way to get to an AGI that's really able to help humanity resolve all its issues and move on to a profoundly better state of existence. I mean, the best way to do that is for humans to be uplifting their own consciousness, understanding themselves better, loving each other better, helping each other better, working toward a better and better society and a better way of being human. And for the AGI to grow up as part of this consciousness expansion on the part of humanity. And I mean, if we can do that, this is really how you get to a beneficial AGI. Now, of course, I'm not completely oblivious to what's going on in the world now for real. I mean, I lived in Hong Kong for 9 years. I saw all the political struggles there, a lot of stuff very, very disturbing. I mean, I've relocated back to the US as my main base of operations as of last year, although once COVID travel restrictions are gone, I'm going to be roaming far and wide again for sure. And I mean, US, we had Donald Trump. We have a disturbing percentage of U.S. population believing QAnon, right? I mean, we've got a lot of screwy things going on in humanity and human systems all over the planet. But I think if among all this mess, we can get serious human consciousness expansion to happen so that, there's a process and dynamic of a larger and larger percentage of the human population awakening themselves, loving better, understanding themselves and others better, opening their minds to, the amazing possibilities that the future holds. If this becomes more and more of a thing, more and more of an aspect of humanity, we still have a chance to raise up our AGIs, to raise them up so that their own growth and expansion of their consciousness is like synced up with the positive expansion of human consciousness. And for this to be, the dominant dynamic in the emerging AGI mind. And of course, with practical work on SingularityNET, we're often focusing on much more nitty-gritty stuff, like how do you get more AI developers to put stuff on our platform? How do you get more API calls into the platform? How do we increase, the economic magnitude of the network? And we're building infrastructure. We're dealing with a lot of nitty-gritty stuff. But I mean, in the end, what we're after with SingularityNET is the same as it was in 2017 when we launched the project, right? It's democratic, decentralized, benevolent, artificial general intelligence. I mean, so it's assembling practical AI systems that solve real problems for real people in the real world now, but in a decentralized way and on a platform where the multiple AIs in the platform can easily cooperate and combine with each other to move to higher and higher levels of emergent general intelligence. And I mean, I think if you can get to AGI that way, coming out of the cooperative activity of a diverse pool of agents created by a diverse pool of people to serve the needs of a diverse pool of customers, I think, and if, a reasonable portion of these agents and the people using these agents are themselves moving in a direction of, expanded and more benevolent consciousness. I mean, I think we have at least a decent chance of creating a really benevolent AGI that's raising its own consciousness up as it becomes more and more intelligent and can then help human beings in really profound ways. Question. All right, coming back to the practical here. Once Nunet launches and increases in number of validator nodes, could AGI switch over from operating on Ethereum and Cardano to operating on Nunet? Well, Nunet isn't a blockchain, right? I mean, so Nunet is really a general purpose decentralized computing fabric, which could leverage multiple blockchains, multiple kinds of hardware devices, and can serve multiple decentralized computing networks. So I mean, you could run SingularityNET nodes on Nunet. You could run Ocean Protocol nodes on Nunet. I mean, so Nunet is a pretty general sort of decentralized computing fabric. Not everything needs to be a blockchain. I know we hear all the time in SingularityNET community, why doesn't SingularityNET make its own blockchain? I mean, I think sort of because of the history of the blockchain space, there's the idea that every good project should form its own blockchain. But I mean, it doesn't have to be that way any more than like Google had to make its own OS kernel. I mean, Linux kernel is good. You can use a Linux kernel. You can build a lot of amazing stuff on the Linux kernel without needing to make your own kernel. And Cardano is good in the same way that Linux kernel is good. You can build a lot of stuff on top of Cardano without needing to build your own Cardano. And the blockchain is a super important part of the stack if you want to be making decentralized computing or decentralized AI networks. But there's a lot of other parts to the stack. So I mean, SingularityNET is living just above Cardano in the stack. Then networks like Rejuve and Nunet and so forth, we can think of as layer 2 networks that are living above SingularityNET. You can think of things like OpenCog, Hyperon, or Singularity Studio with its enterprise software products, is even like layer 3. They can leverage all the different layer 2 networks on top of SingularityNET. Something like TODA IP protocol, you can even view as living below Cardano, below the blockchain in the stack. That's like TCP/IP on decentralized encryption or something like an even lower level protocol that Cardano could make use of. So there's a lot of layers in the stack, and it's good that Cardano is an amazing blockchain, SingularityNet is already a pretty solid decentralized AI network, and Nunet's position is really on top of that as a layer 2 network for SingularityNet and other decentralized networks. And that's great. I mean, the centralized tech companies, the Googles, Microsoft, Tencent of the world, and so on, they've got very rich multi-layered tech stack already, and we're really building out all those layers at the same time as fast and as well as we can in the decentralized ecosystem. And it's the big tech companies are very worthy competitors. On the other hand, I would say we also have some real advantages in the decentralized ecosystem, and that ties into another question. So, what do you think of this situation with the Timnit Gebru and Google's AI ethics brouhaha? Well, so yeah, I mean, I felt that somewhat personally, just because Timnit is Ethiopian, and SingularityNet has had an office in Ethiopia since the beginning. I've been doing AI and robotics work in Ethiopia since 2014, and there's amazing. It's a big country. There's almost 100 million people there. There's amazing talent there, and it's great to see Ethiopians and Ethiopian women in particular going out and pervading every aspect of the modern tech community. And then it's not at all surprising to me that some of the more dazzling female AI minds from the developing world may run into sort of cultural issues and problems with the attitudes of people in big tech companies. I mean, in the end, Google started out pretty cool. I mean, I visited Google Office first in the year 2000. It was great. It was like a bunch of grade A geeks just solving hard computer science problems and rolling them out to the world. Amazing stuff, right? But Google has now just become, in many ways, like any other big company, right? So when you look at the processes that they want people to go through to get papers published within Google, which was wrapped up with the issues that Google had with its AI ethics group. I mean, if you're working at Microsoft or working at IBM or UBS, there's all sorts of processes to go through to publish papers. That's how the corporate world works. They want to maximize shareholder value, and they want to control what their staff are doing. And if you're a researcher there, you're not a academic professor. I mean, you're serving the man. You're serving the company's needs. And I think this mess with Google's AI ethics group has just reinforced to the world that these big tech companies, they're not that different. They're not that special. I mean, Google removed "Don't be evil" as its corporate motto a long time ago, right? I mean, these are big companies. They're out to maximize shareholder value, and they're not necessarily less ethical than other big companies out there. They're not necessarily more ethical than other big companies out there either. I mean, I do think, to me, the biggest eye opener with this whole Timnit Gebru thing was just how incompetent Google wasn't managing all this. I mean, I'd sort of, as a diehard cynic about big companies, I'd sort of thought, well, Google was going to hire these AI ethics people to publish papers that said nice, intelligent, sensible things about AI ethics, and that was a sort of disinformation campaign. Well, they're going to keep on doing the same old unethical things to make money and maximize shareholder value, right? And so it seems like not everyone inside Google was maximally aligned to play that game, right? And so that's a little strange and confusing. But I mean, I'm sure they will right the course and play their PR disinformation campaigns better in the future. On the other hand, I do think there's some long-term damage done, and I think not just Google, but all the big tech companies, like they're no longer they're no longer perceived as the cool place to work for young AI developers or young computer hackers. I mean, by now going to work at Google or Facebook is a bit more like going to work in a Wall Street bank or something. Like, you do it because it pays a lot of money and it's good for your resume, but you don't do it because you think you're like saving the world or because it's the most exciting or interesting thing to do. And I think that's very positive for decentralized projects like SingularityNet, right? Because if very talented, ambitious young developers in AI, blockchain, and other fields, I mean, if they don't want to jump into these big tech companies because the big tech companies are no longer the cool thing, I mean, it's more likely they're going to throw in with crazy decentralized projects like SingularityNet or Cardano. So I think as the big tech companies' cool value fades, that we may be able to pull more and more high talented people into the decentralized ecosystem. Which brings us to the next question. What will you do to attract more developers in the SingularityNet ecosystem? Well, yeah, I think the port to Cardano at least will get rid of a couple reasons not to put your code in SingularityNet platform, like high cost of gas and slow speed of Ethereum transactions. So that certainly helps, but that just removes some bad things. It doesn't add good things, right? I mean, bottom line is, as a protocol, a platform or a meta platform, I mean, SingularityNet needs a demand side and a supply side. The more demand there is for AI services on the platform, the more motivation there is for people to put their AI into the network, providing supply, and vice versa. The more AI has been put on there, the more supplies there, then the more people will want to use the network, the more demand there will be. So there's a two-sided network effect that needs to be seeded, which, to be honest, we haven't made that much traction on so far. We've built and launched some amazing software, but we haven't really gone far enough to get utilization of that software. And I think we've got a number of strategies for that going forward. I think it's the time for this to happen. So the deep funding pool that I mentioned, which is part of the Phase 2 initiative, this can be a really big part of it. But we don't just want to be paying people to put stuff on the platform, and that's not sustainable. So what we need to do is use deep funding to seed projects, just to give them a little head start to get them started. Well, they will then keep on using the platform ongoingly, because it's good for them, because it's providing with technical support they wouldn't have had otherwise, or because they're making money there as an augmentation to what they can get on other channels. But at least the deep funding pool, which will be funded by a steady stream of AGI on Cardano tokens, I mean, at least the deep funding pool provides some economic firepower that, if used judiciously, can stimulate putting both core AI algorithms, infrastructure improvements, and dApps leveraging the network. So all these things onto the SingularityNet platform. I think some of the layer 2 networks that we've been building within SingularityNet Foundation are going to be spinning out, like a Rejuve for life extension biology, and Nunet, I've already mentioned, for decentralized processing, Accelerando for decentralized media. I mean, I think all these things, through the logic of their own networks, are going to create demand because they need AI services from SingularityNet network. And by juicing the supply side with these layer 2 networks going to launch on top of SingularityNet, that can juice demand a fair bit, really. I mean, I think we also need to do the hard work of building out more infrastructure as a service tools underlying SingularityNet platform in order to really offer to developers as much as the centralized platforms offer. And that that will happen step by step, meaning that some developers will be able to leverage SingularityNet as well as they could leverage centralized platforms this year in 2021. I mean, some could right now. And for some, we'll need service fleet management or automated replication and fallback. We'll need more of these infrastructure as a service functions to be there for some product developers to really jump full on into SingularityNet. So it is going to be a gradual process. I mean, I think deriving from our integration with Cardano, tools for multi-party computing and homomorphic encryption integrated with machine learning and reasoning algorithms, this can help also, because if developers want to do things in a distributed and secure way, there's not a lot of platforms that support that, and the integration with Cardano can let us get there faster. So there's a bunch of different things. There's no like one magic solution, but I think all in all, between deep funding the layer 2 networks and the move to Cardano and building more infrastructure as a service, I think we've got a lot of things that are going to pull more and more developers into the platform. And then what you need to reach a critical mass, and then there's enough there that it just grows of its own momentum. One more question. So, does Singularity DAO benefit the SingularityNet landscape? So yeah, Singularity DAO is a spin-off, a layer 2 network of SingularityNet that uses SingularityNet AI for decentralized finance. And I mean, it uses it specifically to build a sort of trading and then yield farming infrastructure on top of lower liquidity altcoins. So I mean, you can bundle together a basket of altcoins into a single token called a Dynaset, which is a bit like an ETF, but the components are dynamically reweighted by AI running on SingularityNet, and then you can also stake these Dynasets, these ETF-like tokens. You can stake these Dynasets and then earn yield tokens for that. And there's hedging and futures-based aspects there. And yeah, I think, first of all, this benefits the SingularityNet network by using AI running on SingularityNet, right? So that's token utilization, right? I mean, there also will be an airdrop of Singularity DAO governance tokens to AGI token holders, and the particulars of that are still being worked out. Additionally, when we launch new spin-offs of SingularityNet, like say a Nunet or a Rejuve, I mean, we can leverage Singularity DAO to help create liquidity and help create healthy markets for those tokens, along with the other tokens bundled in the Singularity DAO Dynasets, right? So I mean, I think there's a lot of ways that Singularity DAO is going to drive SingularityNet forward. Okay, one more question on my list. When will the Sophia DAO launch? Well, so I've been working closely with David Henson, Michelle Singh, and others on what we've now been calling the Sophia Collective, which is sort of a collaboration of SingularityNet and Hanson Robotics and a few other partners, which is aimed at putting decentralized open source AI behind Sophia and other similar robots and avatars with a view to working toward a beneficial singularity, right? So we were talking earlier, I was talking earlier about AI that facilitates expansion of human consciousness. And that was really David Hanson's goal with launching the Sophia robot in the first place. So now Hanson Robotics is putting a bunch of their IP, so open source and to be managed by Singularity DAO, and SingularityNET and Singularity Studio are commercial spinoff for enterprise software. We're going to take a bunch of the software that we're putting behind the Grace humanoid robot, which we're launching with Awakening Health to help elderly people in elder care facilities. We're going to take a bunch of that software and also open it up and put it out to the public through the Sophia DAO, Sophia Collective initiative. So the goal there is to really build an open source community around, creating benevolent, generally intelligent humanoid robots with a great amount of human empathy and with their minds running in the back end on SingularityNet decentralized network. And this there's a bunch of other aspects to this that you're going to hear about in the coming weeks. So when we're focusing heavily there on visual arts and music and video, and sort of on the aesthetic aspect of AI and the ability of that to reach out to more people and pull in a broader community. Because I mean, the idea with the Sophia DAO, Sophia Collective, I mean, it's still at a formative stage in some ways, but the idea is to pull in a whole bunch of people who may not be programmers or technical minded, and pull them into helping collaboratively sort of shape the consciousness of Sophia and her sister and brother robots, you know, with a view toward sort of shaping the overall, you know, benevolent emergence of the global brain of humans, computers, AIs, robots, and so forth. But yeah, I'm getting very airy-fairy here, but I mean, it's a very, very cool, exciting project. There's going to be some really interesting announcements about that before too long. And I mean, those who have been following SingularityNet for a while, you remember the Sophia robot was like with me all the time when I was out there talking about SingularityNet in 2017. We were doing a bit less with Sophia for the last few years, but behind the scenes, we were working on AI software for natural language dialogue and humanoid robot control, right? So I mean, now that work in the background on that software, I mean, now this is coming to fruition, both in the Grace Humanoid Robotics Project, which is applying the SingularityNet-based, you know, AI robot control software to elder care, and in the Sophia DAO, Sophia Collective project, which is applying it more generally with the sort of arts and the aesthetics and ethics spin. But I think that's enough for now. So yeah, as I said, this has been a really exciting month. I mean, getting the go-ahead from the community to proceed with the Phase 2 initiative is just incredible. And you know, we've got so many exciting things in the work now. This is going to be the most amazing year in the history of SingularityNet, and I think I'm going to be able to say that every year for some years to come. I mean, that's the nature of exponential growth and exponential change, and I think we're entering a period of very, very rapid exponential growth for SingularityNet and decentralized, you know, democratic, beneficial AI and AGI.
Thank you, Ben. And now it's time for Dr. Matthew Ikle, our AI Chief of Staff, who is going to tell us how he's using SingularityNET AI in his project on agricultural soil carbon sequestration. So over to you, Matt. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matthew Ikle, and I am AI Chief of Staff at SingularityNet. Today I want to talk about one of the projects I'm most passionate about, which is our agricultural soil carbon sequestration effort. First, I want to give a bit of background. So in 2019, in August, Ben Goertzel and I met at a conference in Snowmass, Colorado. The conference was the annual R Day. R Day stands for American Renewable Energy Day conference. Ben and I wish to explore how best AI and blockchain technology could be used in various sustainability efforts. We talked with a number of different individuals and organizations. In particular, we met with Bill Brandt, who is Strategic Director for Arizona State University's Lightworks Sustainability Innovation Accelerator. After that initial meeting, Bill Brandt, his team, and SingularityNet signed a memorandum of understanding, and we have been hard at work. We've been pursuing multiple pathways with multiple academic, industry, and potential entrepreneurial partners with the goal of designing and funding an entire end-to-end carbon and ecosystem credit exchange market based on blockchain and powered by SingularityNet's AI services. The goal is to create a marketplace for tracking, tracing, and verifying agricultural soil carbon storage from farm to business and consumer, and most importantly, to achieve this vision using automated methods that allow for massive scalability. Ben and I believe we have the idea for achieving such scalability, but it will require data access, funding, and changes in farming practices. I'll come back to that last point when we go over the marketplace. A bit about carbon sequestration. It can be achieved using multiple approaches, including biological, physical, and chemical processes. The work in which we are engaged with Arizona State University looks at harnessing nature's own photosynthesis cycle to capture and store carbon. To see how this works, consider this purposefully simplified diagram of the soil carbon cycle. At the top of the cycle, we see that plants produce oxygen. They also draw carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil and combines these to form carbohydrates. The roots transfer these carbohydrates to the soil to feed soil organisms as well as store carbon. The carbon-rich soils in turn help the soil retain more water. And while soil organisms do release some of the carbon dioxide back into the air, the net result is storage of substantial amounts of carbon underground. We next look at the carbon and ecosystem exchange marketplace. Note that while we will go through the marketplace cycle for carbon sequestration, one could similarly create incentives for additional ecological services such as soil health, water quality, biodiversity, water usage, and so on. Starting at the upper left, we see that farmers infuse their soil with carbon via photosynthesis. This process will require major changes in farming practices, changes that ask a lot of individual farmers for whom farms provide their sole livelihoods. One primary goal of the carbon credit marketplace is to provide financial incentives and the ability to reduce risk for implementing such regenerative farming practices and sequestering carbon in the soil. Moving to the bottom left, we need to accurately estimate the actual amount of carbon stored in the ground. One of our partners has already succeeded at accurately estimating below ground soil organic carbon levels from non-invasive proxy data sources, at least at a local level. We still need, however, to, one, further reduce uncertainty at the local level, and two, more importantly, scale the local estimates to achieve accurate soil organic carbon estimates regionally and then globally. And do this across multiple climate zones, multiple topographies, and multiple soil types. We believe that we at SingularityNET have the know-how to solve both of those technical problems. Once the amount of stored carbon is verified, it is placed into a smart contract and a carbon credit token is created. It's listed for sale on the marketplace. Carbon producers and emitters, so businesses such as airlines, vehicle manufacturers, energy producers, cement manufacturers, and so on, can purchase these tokens, and this produces the required financial incentives for farmers pursuing regenerative farming techniques. So to summarize everything, I like to think of three simple words: track, trace, and verify. And just as importantly, to the ability to do those all at massive scale. Should you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address is matt@singularitynet.io.
Thank you, Matt. It's really cool to see how the SingularityNET AI is also going to play a key role in some really interesting project fighting climate change. And now I want to tell you a little bit more about the project that I'm personally leading within the SingularityNET Foundation, which is Singularity DAO. I'm sure most of you have heard about Singularity DAO recently. We've been spoken about it quite openly. And essentially, Singularity DAO is SingularityNET project in decentralized finance. It was basically born out of two main needs. On one hand, the consumer, the retail investor. So we realized that in the market there is an overload and an overflow of informations, and it's very difficult to keep up with all the crypto projects that are coming up. And although there is a lot of innovation and a lot of potential in this project, however, the information is very fragmented, and it's almost impossible to keep up with all the different Telegram community announcement channels, sometime on Reddit, sometime on Discord, sometime on Slack, sometime on main media. Therefore, we thought that we could use SingularityNET AI in a way that would automatize the regular retail investors' investment. Ben and Cassio have been working on artificial intelligence for the financial industry for a long time before starting SingularityNET. So they are some of the best placed people to do this in the world, perhaps. Therefore, we architected the Singularity DAO infrastructure that I'm going to tell you more in a second. The second need is that we realized that a lot of these cool projects that I mentioned before are lacking of the right liquidity, and sometimes these projects are extremely interesting. They have really cool technology, great talents, they solve real problems, but unfortunately for a number of reasons they don't get the right interest from investors. Therefore, they struggle to make it big into the market. And for a period, the AGI token and SingularityNET has been one of those projects. Therefore, we architected the Singularity DAO ecosystem. So, Singularity DAO ecosystem take advantage of sophisticated AI tools and as well as sophisticated decentralized finance tool. So, we have the one that we call Dynasets, which are basically indexes of small to mid cap market token that are grouped together in ETF-like similar baskets. Anyone can just come into the Singularity DAO ecosystem and buy a portion of that Dynaset with a token that we're going to denominate the Dynaset token. It is very important to understand that the Singularity DAO ecosystem is a non-custodial ecosystem, so at no point will have custody of your token. However, we're going to allow you to buy into these baskets of tokens that are representation of the index of the underlying token. So the Dynaset can also be seen as an index of the small to medium cap market tokens. But what happens when these underlying tokens within the Dynaset increase in price and they outperform other token, then automatically our AI would understand it and automatically rebalance the tokens within the Dynaset, which we call Dynaset because it's a dynamic set, and therefore is automatically updated by SingularityNET AI. And this is a unique feature in the market. No one else has done that. So you can also see a Dynaset as a sort of AI managed portfolio, or also as a AI managed hedge fund. So let's go back. Once you own the Dynaset, then you can take it and keep it for the future, and it will grow in value as much as the underlying coins are growing in value. Or you can take the Dynaset token, stake it in the liquidity pool, and then you will get one LP token. This LP token is a representation of the ownership of your share of the liquidity pool. You can use this LP token to then put it in a vault and farm the SingDAO token, which is the Singularity DAO Governance token. So we're planning to delegate a lot of the critical and most important decisions regarding the Singularity DAO platform management to our community, who are the real builders and the real stakeholders of the ecosystem. And the governance voting will happen through the Singularity DAO Governance token, the real superstar of the whole ecosystem. In the past few weeks, we've been actively working on building the platform. We've been hiring new team members, blockchain developers that are hopefully and according to our roadmap going to deliver an MVP, a minimum viable product, within 4 weeks maximum. So hopefully by the beginning of April, actually, we're gonna have a live MVP of the Singularity DAO platform if everything goes as it's planned. Moreover, as I mentioned, we have a number of new tokens involved into this new project. Therefore, we are going to have a new community liquidity generation event. I know that there has been a lot of speculations within the community about how we're gonna distribute the Singularity, the SingDAO token, and I'd like to give some more updates on this regard. We are definitely going ahead and prioritize our community, and especially the AGI token holders community. However, how this priority will be given is not yet set in stone and is still at the center of some of our internal conversations. We are planning to give some solid updates in the next week or 10 days, so please keep following the Singularity DAO Telegram community and the SingularityNET social channels, which are going to be the main channel of communication for news regarding the Singularity DAO project. So to answer most of the questions that I'm getting from the community, we haven't planned an airdrop yet. We don't know how the SingDAO is going to be distributed, but we can confirm that the AGI community, the AGI token holder community, is going to be at the core of this project and is going to be our priority when it comes to distribute the Singularity DAO governance token. So I hope that you liked this update and you are excited as much as we are regarding the Singularity DAO DeFi project. And now I want to pass the word to another of our great talent within the SingularityNET Foundation. So next to speak is Dagim Sisay, one of our programmer out of our office in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And Dagim is going to tell us more about the Nunet spin-off project incubated by SingularityNET. Over to you, Dagim.
At Nunet, we're currently building a decentralized computing platform with more focus on interoperating AI services. The whole concept of Nunet is basically founded upon the fact that there is a huge amount of computing resource in consumer devices that is very much underused for most of the time. And we would like to utilize this computing resource and offer it as a shared resource for the Nunet community. So when building this Nunet platform, we believe that there would be, in general, 3 types of users of this platform. One are the compute providers that basically contribute their computing resources to the platform so that their CPU power or memory or storage or method management can be used to offer services on the platform. When compute providers are contributing their computers to the platform, basically we have this Nunet adapter that basically isolates everything that runs from the Nunet platform in a certain execution environment where it doesn't interfere with other work that those device owners may be doing on their computers. when they will be rewarded or compensated for their resources that they have offered the platform with certain economic mechanism that basically calculates all the CPU that has been used, the memory or storage or network bandwidth that has been used to run services, and they would be compensated based on that. The second types of users would be developers that basically want to host services on pretty much cloud infrastructure. So developers would have a much cheaper option than what currently exists in the market. Since this is a community shared platform, it would be there would be much less maintenance, and the burden of maintenance and scaling would rest on the community itself, and it would be shared. So they would have a much cheaper option to host their service on. And they would also be incentivized with token payments, so that they would offer better coded algorithms on the platform. Third types of users are the ones that make use of these previous two types of users. These are the consumers, which basically want to run some service on some device, or they would want some storage or whatever it is they need. They can access it from the Nunet platform in a more decentralized manner. So the main challenge of building the Nunet platform would be having this self-organizing or self-sustaining platform that basically expands dynamically whenever new compute devices are contributed to the system, or new AI algorithms or AI services are hosted on the system by the developers, or whenever consumers would like to run whatever service that is hosted on the platform itself. And one other goal that Nunet currently strives for is to have AI services communicate with each other in order to offer a more rich service than their individual services. For example, most of AI services that we know today are basically narrow AIs that do one specific thing well, but it would be very difficult to have them do something else without changing code, or without changing training data, or without changing models. So Nunet, so the other thing Nunet would provide is to offer interdependency between AI services so that they can work with each other and offer a more rich service. For example, if we have a consumer that's, let's say, is building a humanoid robot with that's capable of making facial recognition, object recognition, having interactions with humans around it, and it's able to listen to what the people are saying, and it's able to respond, and all those sort of things that come with building a robot that has all these functionalities. The Nunet platform would be able to offer, for example, a speech-text functionality from one developer that's providing that technology, and another developer would be maybe serving facial recognition technology, and all these services can come into together into one service that is offering a much richer experience for the consumers. So while building this platform, we're figuring out a lot of clever ways of building it. For example, we'd need to have some peer-to-peer communication, since most of these devices are sitting behind NAT devices that doesn't allow them to be accessible from the public internet. And since the decentralization aspect of Nunet actually demands not having a centralized entity which manages the communication between AI services or devices, we would need to come up with better ways of service discovery and device discovery whenever new compute devices are joining the platform, or whenever new AI services are being hosted by the developers. So we've had several runs at the design of Nunet, and we also participated in a hackathon a few months ago, and we learned a lot while building some demonstration application for the hackathon. For example, we went for a fake news detection application where we would have stance detection algorithms running on several devices. These are very different stance detection algorithms that are running on different devices. And we also had an ensemble or an aggregator service, which makes use of all those stance detection services to bring them as one and offer the service as a whole, as a fake news detection service. So as a demonstration, we built a browser extension for the Brave browser, where users can basically be reading a news item, and the browser extension would utilize the Nunet platform in order to run the stance detection, so running on different machines, and to have the results assembled together and offer the result to the consumer that is basically sitting on any computer with a web browser. So we also were able to apply battle-tested orchestration and service discovery software such as Nomad and Consul for service deployment and discovery. And it is one of the goals of the Nunet platform to have everything that's open source and everything that's basically functional in the real world, to have it applied within the platform itself. So we've been very careful about designing and building the Nunet platform, considering each module carefully, such as the APIs, the messaging protocols, and the format that would allow devices to discover each other and to work with each other, relinquish tasks to each other, and for AI services to also merge themselves into a certain workflow and to collaborate with each other in order to offer better and more complex services, and also to compensate each other with some tokenomic mechanism. So this is the path that we're taking with Nunet.
Thank you, Dagim. And now it's time for Kabir Veitas, one of our senior AI researcher and co-founder of Nunet, who's going to tell us his point of view on Nunet. So a little bit more about decentralized computing networks now. Over to you, Kabir. Thank you.
The Nunet team is currently engaged in the development of the Nunet platform alpha version, which we expect to release somewhere on the second half of this year, hopefully in the very beginning of the second half of the 2021. And the alpha version will include the fundamentals of the platform, including the main functional properties, enabling the main functional properties such as the computational reflection, context awareness, the mobility of AI agents on the hardware, meaning that AI agents will be able to choose the hardware on which they will be able to execute themselves, and the value exchange between both AI agents in terms of the real value exchange of data in terms of data, and the sort of monetary expression of value in terms of the crypto tokens, as well as value exchange between the software and hardware, so that software could pay for hardware for executing itself on certain hardware resources that it needs to execute itself on. And so the technical vision, in short, of Nunet is to build a self-organizing hardware and software mesh where algorithms, AI agents, and hardware devices could find each other, connect into workflows, and compensate each other via the tokenomic mechanism, blockchain agnostic tokenomic mechanisms. Nunet develops by picking user-facing showcase applications and developing the platform so that the application becomes fully functional. So currently, such an application for the alpha version of the platform is a fake news detector. And with the help of this showcase applications, we are developing low-level protocol engineering of the platform, APIs and messaging protocols on the platform level, the service discovery mechanisms for the AI agents to discover each other and AI agents to discover the hardware that they need to run themselves, the device onboarding mechanisms, which will allow to onboard different types of devices and running different operating systems on the platform, and to connect to the same workflows. Network telemetry monitoring framework, which will show the computational power of the network. Bindings that are needed for interaction of AI agents and hardware devices with different blockchains. So we are including as much as possible of these functionalities into the platform. Of course, this is the alpha version, therefore we're not going to include everything. However, we want to include the basics of these functionalities so that first of all, the alpha version would reflect the Nunet platform well enough, and more importantly, it would provide a basis for the iterative building of the future versions on top towards reaching the full potential of the Nunet platform.
Thank you, Kabir. And Kabir has also been working on the AI DSL, which is the language that allows the AI algorithms within the SingularityNET platform to communicate to each other. So that's a critical infrastructure in our ecosystem, and we are keen to know more about how it works. So again, over to you, Kabir. Thank you.
AI DSL, which stands for the domain-specific language for the artificial intelligence, is, in my view, one of the most important aspects of the SingularityNET Phase 2, because AI DSL is the glue that will be holding the decentralized AI agents together by enable them to interact with each other and the platform itself and the whole ecosystem in a very non-trivial manner. So the vision of SingularityNET includes this notion of meta API or API of APIs, which will allow AIs to describe to each other the operations, the functions, inputs and outputs, data types and data sources, and to understand operations, functions, inputs and outputs of other agents within the platform. So the goal of the AI DSL is to enable agents to search, match, reason about, and call other agents in the platform in order to self-organize into larger and more intelligent AI agent assemblages for autonomous adaptation and scaling towards more complex, more beneficial, more innovative AI and computational workflows in an unrestricted and open-ended manner, which one can clearly imagine how this technological vision relates to the world of singularity in the name of the SingularityNET. So for high-level understanding of AI DSL, it may be useful to think in terms of natural human language, without forgetting that it's, after all, an artificial language. So there are quite a few important properties of such a language. First of all, it should have a well-defined vocabulary and the alphabet over which it can allow to express and understand infinite amount of meanings, in this case AI roles, functional descriptions, data types, and so on. Furthermore, each AI agent should be able to express and communicate exactly what is needed for its own purposes, which means that the language should evolve so that to adapt to the needs for expression of new meanings that will arise, first of all, from all innovations of developers and users of SingularityNET platform, and eventually and hopefully open-ended collaboration of the AI agents themselves. However, since the AI DSL is a language for describing things in a computational universe and not human universe, it has to allow for formal proofs of the correctness of the computational workflows composed of many AI agents, including but not limited to formal proofs that data structures used in inputs and outputs of AI agents match each other. And at least this will require rapid and deterministic type checking process within the language. So currently we are covering all of the above in terms of researching, experimenting, and developing a so-called middle layer of AI DSL based on the dependently typed language Idris-2 for enabling precise reasoning about AIs and programs composed of other AIs and programs, and formal proofs of correctness of such programs in a pretty much recursive manner. Furthermore, we are working on specifying requirements, mechanisms, and supporting technologies for building the base ontology of data types, data sources, descriptions of data sources, and artificial intelligence task types to be used in the vocabulary of AI DSL. Further, we are experimenting and in specifying the principles and mechanics of exposing this AI DSL ontology to decentralized AI agents, allowing to describe novel data types and tasks arising from the community developers, and reaching eventual consensus about types and descriptions to be used in the network on the global scale. Also specifying the tooling and the development requirements for all the above, and already experimenting with building certain aspects and certain blocks of this into the developmental versions of the platform. There is a deep reaching and intricate relation between the AI DSL and SingularityNet spin-off Nunet, which deals with sourcing decentralized hardware resources from the community for the execution of the SingularityNET AI services. And these relations are based on the following: that the AI DSL will include descriptions of the computational resources that are needed for the AI agents to execute themselves. And Nunet will orchestrate the dynamic deployment of the SingularityNET services on these decentralized hardware resources for each task, which will be defined with the help of AI DSL ontology. And Nunet will optimize the workflows so that they will combine several AI services, again defined by AI DSL, for time, cost, and any custom defined properties. So AI DSL will support the implementation of one of the key computational and functional principles of Nunet, which is called computational reflection. The computational reflection, in short, means the ability of AI agents to describe and reason about hardware on which they will be running themselves, in terms of simple hardware requirements such as CPU cycles or memory requirements, as well as meta properties of computation such as computational costs, time constraints, and so on. Also, hardware resources to a certain extent will be able to reason about the algorithms and AI agents that will be allowed to execute it on them. For example, we will want to express preferences of owners of hardware devices about type of computations that they allow or they would be willing to be executed on the hardware resources. So Nunet team is experimenting with the implementation of this computational reflection as much as the early development phases of AI DSL allows, for the purpose of building the basis of the platform to understand and utilize language in the future. So most probably this feature will not be included in the Nunet platform alpha version, but for sure we will take care to implement this as architectural decisions that will enable implementation of AI DSL on the Nunet down the road.
Thank you for this great overview, Kabir. And this is a very critical infrastructure within the SingularityNET decentralized AI platform. So it's really important for our community to understand how it works. So really useful. Thank you. We're now coming to the end of this first episode of the SingularityNET Insider Monthly updates. As you might have noticed, in the last month we've been putting together a lot of content on our YouTube channel, and I hope you really appreciate it. We've been launching and producing the DOS web series, a spin-off of the decentralized OS event that we held a few months ago, and that was greatly successful. The DOS web series focused on 5 verticals that are critical in our society, that we believe are critical in our society. Specifically, decentralized future, hosted by Luke Robert Mason; decentralized health, hosted by Ray Dagim; decentralized finance, hosted by Jeremy Epstein; decentralized economy, hosted by Bill Inman; and decentralized consciousness, hosted by Gabriel Ikle, who you might have seen the other day hosting one of his great talk on how to personally prepare for the singularity. We also been releasing the first episode of a series of video in which our CEO, Dr. Ben Goertzel, review some of the books that have been very important and he's recently read and has shaped his view of the world. And we're looking to do more videos like this. So far the engagement has been pretty good, and we hope that our community has appreciated also this type of videos, and we're looking forward to do more and more content on our YouTube channel to keep you informed and to keep you engaged with the SingularityNET ecosystem. Of course, we're doing this to provide more insights to our great community that has been supporting SingularityNET Foundation since the beginning. And we know that without our community, we probably would have not come so far. And we want to give a shout out to some of the great members that are currently animating our numerous communities. And people like Ederson, Addy, Sean, Jan, Superman, and so many others, Sam, AWN, and many others that is almost impossible to mention. Thanks a lot from the bottom of our heart. Our gratefulness goes to you and the great support that you've been providing to SingularityNET up until this point, and we hope we can count on everyone's support in the future as we are approaching the launch of Singularity DAO and many other projects, and more news coming up soon, including and regarding our partnership with Cardano and the IOHK Foundation, and many more things that we're working on. So please keep in touch with us, follow us on our social media, subscribe to our newsletter, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and keep following us as we release more content and more updates in the next few weeks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Singularity Monthly Insider Update, and see you next month. Thank you so much from Marcello Mari, and again, see you next month. Thank you.